Hi there, Cosmic Family. My name is Leal in this incarnation. And well, we have very high energies towards the eclipse. It is very important to understand that this is not something that only happens on September 7th or 8th. You are going to see that the next week we have the perfectioning of transits that are participating of this event of the configuration. And well, today I wanted to remind you two things. On one side, that tomorrow, September 6th, we have the retrogradation of Uranus in Gemini. Well, this happens until November 7th. On the other side, this also I mentioned on Sunday, Saturn is already retrograde in Pisces. It has turned back to Pisces. So Neptune also has a last passage through Pisces. All of these slow planets are synchronically changing practically all together of sign. We are including Pluto because the definite entrance in Aquarius, it did so in November of 2024. It was very close to. So I'm saying this, I'm repeating this, so you can take a dimension of the level of transition that this year is marking, the 2025, whether, it is showing for you, it is presenting for you. It is a very important passage for everyone without caring of the most prominent signs that you have in your natal charts, because we all have the whole zodiacal wheel with the 12 energies. This is a very, very important year. And the second half, Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus, in that order, they are going to come back to the previous signs, to accomplish their cycles in their respective functions. Saturn entered in 2023 in Pisces, and well, it is closing with the karmic lessons and situations that we need to assume the responsibility of our decisions, thinking in the long term. Neptune entered in 2011 in Pisces, and its function is linked with dissolution of aspects of the identity and dissolution of illusions that so we can impulse ourselves to listen to our soul in a greater depth. Sorry for my English again. And Uranus entered in Taurus on 2019. And well, this is the final liberation of this old structure that are pushing us away of connecting with our value and with what is fertile in our lives. Obviously, I am describing the functions in a very, making a summary because they are going to unfold much more in their archetypes. But I am trying to make emphasis in you observing the time that these cycles lasted, and how this moment of our lives and of the planet could have many chaotic movements, certainly, but also amazing possibilities for each one of the souls that are choosing to listen to their inner calls and to moving forward and to extract the learnings and to incarnate what they came here to do. So Saturn, it is retrograde, and it has just returned to Pisces. And because of this change of sign, we feel a lot its energy. But the participation in the next eclipse, the solar eclipse in Virgo, is going to be the center, a protagonist role. So whatever thing is being shown in these days, it is giving a sign already of the topics that could be moved. The transit with Saturn, every transit with Saturn, puts us in contact with reality. And because it is retrograde, we are talking about passages that haven't been closed, karmic lessons that we, incorporate entirely, that we didn't incorporate entirely. So this transit is showing us how we need to consolidate something inside so we can reflect that in our decisions on the outside. And because it is in Pisces, we are this could be seen as very very, I don't know the expression right now, but very concrete situations. Many times could be painful because Saturn also operates that way. That are showing how, for example, we are giving unlimited energy to something, and it is not contributing anymore. uh, could be something that is being blocked because doesn't respond to the path of the soul, or restrictions in certain areas of life that indicate decisions, important decisions that we need to take. The Piscean energy symbolize unity, so we could have an economic restriction that is reflecting a situation in a relationship where there is lack of clarity or healthy boundaries, to put an example. Areas of our life can be connected, and well, this unity consciousness, I mean, observing experiences as reflections of what life wants us to learn or to remember, because that light was already inside of us. It is just that we need to reveal that. So the Saturnian transits, many times, they are linked with that frustrating situation that turns back, the experience that we are feeling that is limiting us. But behind that, there is an important lesson of maturity that we can only take with the disposition to understand how we need to respond, or responsibility this time in front of that experience, in order to grow. And being able to respond in a different way in front of that situation requires for us to see it with a new consciousness, a different consciousness. For example, if a person is giving too much to other people, which is a typical pattern of the shadow of Pisces, and people are behaving in an egoistical way, or even very imbalanced, keeping looking to that circumstance as I am the victim and outside are the bad ones, it is not going to work. It is not going to help us to change that situation. But if I can go inwards, Saturn retrograde, and ask oneself, from which place am I doing this? From which place am I giving this? Perhaps the person can be in contact with that part that believes that has to do those things because it is the only way to be appreciated or loved. And even if through giving that thing, the person is feeling drained, or it becomes a barrier to be loving with himself or herself, and in the end with the other people too, because when we are giving under the expectation of receiving love in certain behavior, love is not something that we negotiate. We do create agreements in any case, in the dynamics that are sustaining a relationship, but love, this is what Pisces tells to us, is always present. We are distorting that when we are, for example, staying in spaces where there is no growth, in exchange of not being alone, or we are distorting that love when we turn our acts of helping to other people in manipulation so they can turn it back, or in an exigency of how other people should be. So from this new consciousness, one can recognize that we don't need to give or to do from that place to other people anymore. From that recognition, we can establish healthy boundaries. And if other people are accepting that, and we identify that we can really build together, then cool. But in other cases, there are people that will not accept those healthy boundaries because they don't know how to deal with boundaries in their own experience. And in other cases, other people could accept those boundaries, but anyways, those are relationships in which the possibilities of growth are already out, because perhaps we are in different phases. I'm referring that we are not always closing relationships because there is a great conflict. Many times it is just the fact that we cannot accompany mutually to grow in this part of the path. So, well, certainly I'm going to continue to talk about Saturn. Thank you, everyone. I am going to leave it here today. Thank you, everyone. See you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.